All right, guys, we've got one more topic here for you, and it's a fun one. It's an evergreen topic for you guys here. Last week we talked about what did we talk about last weck? We talked about our video game predictions last week. Jesus, man, it's been a long week.
Come on, man, you're hosting here.
But this week here, I figured it. Even though we don't know a lot of games release dates, we can at least talk on some of the games that we're really excited about. We talk a lot about we've talked a lot about Outriders, about Pokemon, some of these games that are coming through. What about the other ones? And I figured it'd spend some time, Seth, you and myself, to kind of make our picks for our most anticipated games of 2021 that we know about. I'm sure more games are going to get released later. Maybe we'll do an addendum or a revisit to this to see if we update the list or change it at all. But I figured we'd take some time to kind of sit down and just talk briefly about some of the games that we're really excited for this year that are supposed to be launching this year. Now, as of this recording, it won't count. If a game gets delayed later down the road, that's not on us. We're going simply by what the developers and the release dates say right now. So, Seth, I'm going to let you kick us off here. What is one of the games you're most excited for this year?
So one of the games I'm most excited for this year is a game you can play right now. However, it is in early access, and I don't acknowledge that the game exists because it doesn't. The idea of this game being in early access makes no sense to me, but that game is Baldurs Gate 3. This is made by Larian Studio, people behind Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. Probably, I was having a conversation with a friend. It may have been you the other day. I don't remember. But I was talking about maybe BioWare isn't as hot as they used to be. But who would be considered the RPG juggernauts of this era, right? 4 months ago I would have said CD Projekt Red, but obviously they may have lost their juggernaut status, whatever. We're not here to talk about that. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, Larian really, every one of their games just really gets what it means to be an RPG, right? It is a game that is all about your choice. And you think about, people how were disappointed with the way Mass Effect 3 kind of funneled you into one of 3 endings. Dude, these games, hundreds of branches, hundreds of opportunities, entire side quests, dude, it is insane the things that they pack into these games. Now they play, they don't play a action game per se. It's an RPG. It is what's called a CRPG, classical RPG, or isometric turn-based, whatever you want to call it. They are a little bit slower in combat pace because the focus really is on storytelling, right? But say what you will, Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, amazing RPG games. The one thing I've always said about those, I was like, man, these games are awesome. They're almost like D&D. Imagine if the studio made a D&D game. Guess what? That's what Baldur's Gate 3 is. It is a D&D video game. It is D&D 5th edition as a video game. You just rolled the B-roll, so you saw Mind Flayer is a big component of this. Essentially you're playing as a character who's captured by Mind Flayers. If you know anything about Mind Flayers, they love to make more Mind Flayers. So they kind of put this bug inside your head that's going to turn you into a Mind Flayer, but it also gives you psychokinetic powers. So right there you have this conflict, right? You're going to turn into a Mind Flayer if you don't find some way to fix it. And from there you are sprung into the world of D&D. You are talking to demons. You are talking to dragons. You are delving into dungeons. You are going on quests. It is just what a chock full game of just full of RPG goodness. You're building out your party. You are truly it is going to be one of the best RPGs ever made. Really, it is going to be. And I know people, when they think about best RPGs ever made, they think about Witcher, or they think about New Vegas. This game belongs up with those games. You think New Vegas was cool, or what it was doing with storytelling? Dude, you don't even know what is going on with Divinity Original Sin. And I think the only thing that makes Divinity and Larian style games maybe not as accessible to the mainstream is the fact that they are turn-based strategy style combat games. And people really prefer that more action-y based combat. But let me urge you, if you think D&D is cool, if you watch Critical Role, if you like that kind of storytelling, this game is for you. There is a D20 that rolls on the screen for skill checks.
That's pretty cool.
Sold.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty dope.
So, Baldur's Gate 3, it is in early access right now. You can buy it on Steam. You can play it. I think it's up to chapter 1 they've done so far. They are going to be adding on to it, but they said that it is coming in 2021. They are going to be adding new content into it. Lyrian's always taken this approach. They've always been very careful about how they make the game. They involve the community a lot. But man, when they finish it and they put the seal on it, I think that it's going to be a lot like you remember Hades? Like Hades was in early access for like a year, and then once they put the done sticker on it, it blew up. It became and once they updated it and people played it, they were like, "Wow, this is a full featured game." They really nailed it here. And I think that when you think about Baldur's Gate 3, it is going to be in a lot of best narratives. It's going to be in a lot of best RPGs of 2021, as long as it doesn't get delayed. We'll see.
You've motivated me to check it out at least, because it has not been on my radar. Sure.
Check it out, because I mean, Cameron, it is one of those games where you'll be like, "Oh, dude, did you find the talking brain right at the beginning?" And the other person's like, "What talking brain?" And you're like, "Well, how did you get off the ship? The talking brain teleported me off the ship." No, dude, I found a hole in the ship. Like, it's completely different how the story plays out.
That's always
and it
exciting.
Does it hundreds of times throughout the story. So, Baldur's Gate 3. Look, it is the third Baldur's Gate game. The last one came out 20 years ago. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It's a D&D game, and it's going to be great. Okay. I can't wait.
Check it out. I'll check it out.
How about you?
My first game, of course, look, it's Horizon. It's Forbidden West.
Giant enemy crab.
I talked about it earlier in the show. I'm so impressed with what Guerrilla did. We talked about it earlier, like Guerrilla was the Killzone team. That's all they did. That's crank out the Killzone games. And then Sony finally giving them the opportunity to say, hey, Guerrilla says, hey, we want to try something new. And Sony says, what is it? And they're like, girl fighting robot dinosaurs with a bow and arrow. I'm like, okay, all right. This is interesting. Tell me more. And
that's when I pull out my checkbook and I'm like, so what do you need? What do we need to get the robot dinosaurs going?
And to see the success the game had back in 2017, and to now know that we have, it's been announced, it's slated for this year. I'm expecting this to be, if it comes out this year, it's going to be a holiday title. I think this likely, if it comes out this year, this will be the big kind of first real next-gen game that Sony has for the system, for the PlayStation 5. It's that world is so new and so unique. This IP is fresh. And I think not only myself, but a lot of different people are really excited about it. I think I've talked about it before, Seth, the fact that, we didn't mention this, that Sony is interested now to put more of their games on PC. We've talked about it before. This is clearly a way for them. Let's put the older games, let's make them for PC, get this huge new user base, like, man, I really like this game, and then announce the sequel and say, crap, that's only on PlayStation 5, let me get a PlayStation 5 to play this game. And so I'm really just, I'm in love with the world. I'm going back through Zero Dawn on the PC. I've played the game. I continue to play the game. I love the game. I'm hoping that the few minor issues that people had with the game are corrected in this new title. I'm fighting people wasn't bad. It wasn't great. And so I'm hoping maybe fighting, like when you fight actual humans, it'll be a little bit better, and a few other quality of life things. I know it'll look great. I really am not concerned about that. But no, Horizon Zero Dawn for sure. I'm super excited about it. I cannot wait.
Good pick. My only question on this game is, part of what made that first game so good was uncovering the mystery, right? Like, that story had such a pull. Every quest you learned a little bit more about what was going on.
Yes.
And now that we know, I'm curious how they're going to approach the second game. Like, are they going to be able to create as much mystery? I think they will. I really do. I think that when you think about the Forbidden West, it sounds like nobody's really gone to the West Coast. That she's gonna get out there and see that, lots of crazy things are happening, and the mystery will be like uncovering what's happened. I just don't know if it's gonna be as like big and as important as what you learn in
And
Zero Dawn.
I don't know if it may matter when you have giant robot elephants.
You're right.
Coming through, going, woo! I'm like, awesome. Okay, I'm in. Sold.
Yep. Robo Turtle. That was in the trailer.
It was.
Yeah. Great pick. Great pick.
Next up is you. What do you got?
All right. Next up, one of my favorite franchises. It is just full of garbage and stupidity, and I love it, and I'll always play them. And that is Resident Evil Village, the latest entry into the Resident Evil showcase of shenanigans that they have created. Weird, interesting, like, I don't even want to say soft reboot that they did with 7, but like new approach, obviously a new type of game, but then also they kind of like created a new, like they stepped away from the Raccoon City stuff. They stepped away from a lot of like established lore. And most of what that game talked about was Ethan and him trying to find his wife. And then there was a little bit of like that old Resident Evil lore like mixed into there, but they really were taking it in a new direction. Now we've got Village. We got the giant woman. We got the giant vampire lady. We got the castle. We got werewolves. This game is looking amazing.
It is.
The RA engine continues to be like a groundbreaking visual thing. I played the little tech demo they put out and I was like, yep, more Resident Evil. Yep, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is also on my list as well. I'm very excited for, like, really, I will say that Resident Evil 7 really kickstarted. I remember playing the older games. I played when the Resident Evil remake happened. I played that. When 4 came through, I enjoyed that. And I'm like, okay, I'm liking these games, but then kind of fell off because really the franchise fell off. And I think 7 kind of reinvigorated the franchise in a great way that maybe not a lot of people were expecting. And now that I've went through, I finally got to play Resident Evil 2 in the remake. I played Resident Evil 3. Yeah. Great games. I'm super excited as well for Village to see what they're going to do with the game. The maiden demo was crazy, and it was just like 7, and that's what I wanted. I love it.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
I can't wait to get in that castle. Start to explore. Like, the thing about 7 that was so interesting is they made this house, this like bayou shack, interesting, right? They really there was this deep puzzle, and then you're I guess mild spoilers for like Resident Evil 7, but like you figure out that there's like stuff underneath the house that's like even more sinister, and it's not really a spoiler. It's Resident Evil. Of course, there's a thing with a secret thing underneath it. That's core to the franchise, right? So I am just so excited to see, like, okay, we know there's this castle. I think that this castle really is channeling that energy that we had with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
That, going into that castle segment and then kind of uncovering the secret there. That's what I'm getting the feel of here. But the fact that they're going with this more, almost Salem type of horror, this more gothic type of werewolves, vampires, witches, that kind of approach versus like zombies, bioweapons, that kind of thing. And so I'm really intrigued. Look, I cannot wait.
Don't kid yourself. Like, if you think you're going to walk into this game and like midway through, you're not going to open one of the doors in the castle and it's going to be this like top of the line, like biotech lab with an Umbrella logo at the back of it. You're a fool. And you've never played a Resident Evil game. Let me tell you that right now. Okay.
I'm just waiting for the day. And listen, this is going to get to like peak Assassin's Creed shit, but I'm just waiting for the day where they just confirm that Umbrella is the Illuminati. And that is, and like, yes, that's what Assassin's Creed basically did with like Abstergo, but I would say Resident Evil did it first. They just they've never acknowledged it. Yes. But I'm ready for them. I'm ready to pick up a document where they're like, the founder of Umbrella was actually like, Umbrella used to be like the Council of Ra from like Egypt, and it became the like Freemason. Like, I want that. I want that to be.
Oh, I can't wait either. I can't wait.
Remember in Resident Evil 5 when we punched Wesker into a volcano?
Yes. When you had to punch the boulder, you're like like Chris is punching the boulder.
You can't punch a mega zombie, but you can punch a boulder that will hit a mega zombie. Man. Resident Evil's good. I can't wait to play Village. I cannot wait.
So, it's technically your turn again. We have the same picks.
Okay.
So we're back to you. What's next?
So that was a parry and riposte, right? So now we're back on with our game duel. So this game, it should be no surprise if you look at my Twitter bio. It says Heart, Star Wars, and Lego. So of course you know that the third game on my list is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and this one in particular. Really, like, of all the games that we have seen announced, this one's been announced for a really long time. We know it's coming. I can't wait to play this game because from what I have seen in just early interviews and demos, you know, they do that stupid thing where like they let a game press person watch you play it and then they go and write an article about it. And I'm like, why don't you just release the demo as a 7-minute playthrough? But I digress. You can kind of see here, the camera is over the shoulder. It is, you know, you're shooting a blaster, you're using a lightsaber.
That's new. That's never been done before. It's
totally new. They've always done that kind of fixed camera angle, run around a little playground environment, and then move to the next environment. So the idea that this is going to be more of a open style environment, that it's over your shoulder, is really intriguing. And the fact that they're just cramming all 9 movies, I am still convinced that there's going to be content from Rogue One and content from Solo in here. But they're just cramming all the Star Wars movies into one. I think there's going to be Mandalorian stuff also. I'd probably need to pick the good or better Star Wars, more recent stuff like Rogue One. Listen, I got my Rogue One cup right here. Still one of the best Star Wars spinoffs. But it's just like, dude, they put everything in this one game, and it's just. I can't wait to play this. It's got ship combat. It's got lightsabers and blasters. It's just going to be a good old time.
I feel like this is their version of Smash Ultimate. Like, look, we're tired of releasing them like every few years. We're just going to give you guys everything all at once. There you go. Don't ask us for anything else ever again.
Like Legos, I would say Legos, Cameron, we could do a 4-hour podcast just talking about Lego and Star Wars and their relationship. But Star Wars and Lego have this decades-long relationship at this point, right? And many Lego people will tell you that if it were not for Star Wars Legos, there would not be a Lego today, right? Star Wars Legos got Lego through some really hard times. And I think that many people, when they think about Lego games, Lego Star Wars was that first Lego game that people remember playing. And the fact that they're really taking those older games, they're not really trying to remake those games. They are bringing the Lego formula to a new audience, putting the entire Skywalker saga in there so everyone will be happy. Even if you don't like the sequels, that's okay. The old ones are there. If you do, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just going to be really, really awesome to be able to play all of the Star Wars movies in one Lego game. It's just, man, I can't wait to play this. It's going to be so good. And what's really crazy is they've delayed this game a couple times, and they haven't really talked about it much at all.
They haven't. So you really have not.
Very intrigued to see more from this game as we get closer to the summer. We got to break our habit. We can't say E3 anymore.
We can't.
As we get closer to the summer games announcement hype. I know that doesn't sound as good as E3, but as we get close to that time of the year, I hope we see more of this game. I really do. But
I'm sure we will. One game we've seen, basically we've talked about and seen enough of is, this is on my list, and I'm not going to get into too much of it, but I've talked about it enough in topic 2, and it's Outriders. I am excited for Outriders. You know, issues aside, it's got a lot of great potential, and I think that everything they've shown in the demo, or even just really everything they've talked about beforehand, has been in the right direction. When you are talking about a looter shooter, there's plenty of loot. You can max and min like Diablo. I'm really hoping like a part like it almost like I mentioned it when we were playing. Like the tiers were basically torment levels for Diablo. Like you increase your tier, enemies do more damage, but you get better chance at loot and legendaries, and your goal is to increase that tier as high as possible. And I'm really excited. Big thing for me is just being, you know, I'm not going to be ashamed to say this. I tend to play a lot of single player games, and the big thing for me is just finding some people to play the game with and have some fun with. But I'm really excited to jump in, play through the classes, go through this entire world. The world is unique. I'm not gonna say it's it's cool sci-fi fare, and I'm a big fan of sci-fi, but I'm really excited for Outriders. I'm hoping that it does well. I'm not expecting it to be like, oh my god, the best thing since sliced bread at launch. But I'm really hoping that when we get down to the second half of the year, maybe even in the Game of the Year awards, people are still talking about the game, just talking about, the game. It was really good. It's come a long way. They've done a lot of great updates. They've polished it up a lot, and it's a great experience. And I'm really hoping that people recommend this game as a new looter shooter game for people that like that genre. So,
Yeah.
that is my game there. Next up, sir.
Yes. So you mentioned I have to do an honor. This is an honor edition, but I'm going to acknowledge it. So you mentioned Diablo. I am going to let you know, of all the games that I am hyped for, Diablo 2 Resurrected is one of the top. But I am not putting it on my formal list of 5 because it's a remake of a game that I poured like 400 hours of my youth into. So I didn't put it on this list because it's just a remake, and what is there to say? Like, it's Diablo 2. I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm super hyped for it. So it's documented. If I burn to nothing tomorrow, it's documented that I was hyped for Diablo 2.
Yes.
However, as much as I love fighting demons from hell, the thing I love even more than that, Cameron, is fighting space demons for the glory of the God Emperor. And that is, of course, going to be in the Warhammer 40k universe. We're talking about Warhammer 40k Darktide. This is the latest game in the Warhammer 40k Blank Tide series of games. So we have Vermintide and Vermintide 2. I really got in around Vermintide 2. Very, very fun, kind of Left 4 Dead style first person
definitely. It looks cool.
survival game. Yeah. The biggest thing that separates it from a game like Left 4 Dead, it is an RPG. So there's a progression through it. You pick classes that you want to kind of spec with, and each class has different abilities. So unlike the Left 4 Dead, where everyone's kind of the same and it's just you pick up a weapon and go, this game you have abilities that are tied to a class. You level up that class as you play more and more rounds. There's a lot of secrets to uncover in these games.
Ooh,
so they kind of remind me a little bit of like Call of Duty Zombies.
I'm very enthralled by the trailer here that I got B-roll for.
So let me go ahead and send it to the plus ultra status. So this game's launching into Game Pass. And if there is one thing that you want to know about making a like co-op shooter like this, is launching in Game Pass will guarantee you have millions of players day one. So Vermintide was a very, very highly loved game. And I remember playing Vermintide and I just said to myself, man, I wish this was in the 40k universe because I really just like Warhammer 40k better than that classic. That's what this game is. And it is going to be Xenos. We're going to purge the Xenos for the glory of the God Emperor. There's going to be psychics. There's going to be all kinds of crazy races. And if you don't know anything about Warhammer, I'll say this. Think about the difference between like Warcraft and StarCraft, right? Like Warcraft is like magic and fantasy and taverns and dwarves. And then StarCraft is like Protoss and space lasers and like psionic powers and like crazy interplanetary wars, right? It's just a different feel to it. And this game, if they can make it play as well as Vermintide did, but put it in that 40k universe and honestly just remove the loot box mechanic entirely, because that game came out back when loot boxes were really trendy. And that is how you got a lot of your gear, was through randomized loot crates.
Yeah, get rid of that.
So
get rid of that.
But that was like 2015. So like
okay.
Battlefront
Some time
2
has passed. Yeah,
Battlefront 2 happened, and then now it's, we've kind of trended past that. So this game comes out.
Basically, they come out and they're like, "Hey, can we introduce loot boxes?" And then the people are like T'Challa, and they're like, "We don't do that here."
We don't do exactly. We don't do that here. But yeah, it's one of those games where when you're playing it, you're not worried about loot drops on the ground. You're not worried about picking up anything. You are worried about one thing: killing. In this case, Xenos, right? Like, Xenos are non-humans. Purge them. Purge the Xenos. And so then at the end of the match, you kind of collect all the loot. So it's kind of like running a Nephilim Rift in Diablo.
Okay.
If you run those, you get in, you run through them with your team. You set different difficulties. It's just a blast, and I cannot wait to play this. It's launching into Game Pass. I believe it's a console exclusive on the Xbox side, but it is going to be on PC as well. So that should give it a good, hearty player base to start with. And yeah, if you got Game Pass, it's going to be a big release this year. It's going to be part of your Game Pass subscription. So play it when it comes out.
Okay.
It's going to be good.
Ooh, we're almost done.
We're almost done.
One of my next games here, a little game that we really haven't heard much of, but it's coming out this year. We saw it got announced. Little Devil Inside. I am in love. And Seth, I'm sure you probably saw this the first time it got released and like, yep, that looks like a Cameron game. That looks like something he's gonna love.
It certainly is.
And I love the art style. I love the tone of the trailer and what they were going for. I cannot wait to play this game. It's slated for this year. It's supposed to be like a roguelike game where you're monster hunting and whatnot. And I've been in love with the game and the art style. I just want it. Give me more information on this game. Tell me when I can play it, and let me play it. I'm super excited for Little Devil Inside. Cannot wait for it.
Where was this shown?
This was shown in 20.
It was an E3 conference.
It was a Sony. It was one of the Sony conferences, and I think it was last year.
Okay.
Let me double check here. Googling core gameplay, visual style, core gameplay, plot, blah blah blah, development release. Trailer for the game came out initially it was in 2017 of December, but then this was one of the games where it was announced a couple of years back and then like went on hiatus. Something happened. I think they changed engines and then they came back in June 2020 during a PlayStation 5 reveal event.
Okay, cool.
That's
just what I was wondering is where it was shown at. Because I remember seeing the trailer. I just can't remember if it was a Sony thing or an Xbox thing or some other thing. But
it was on Sony's camp. So very excited for it. You're up, sir.
Sorry, my Google is talking to me. So I apologize if that picked up. But the last game that I'm very hyped for, it was kind of hard for me to really lock down which this last spot was going to go to. However, there is an Arcane game coming out this year, so it automatically gets a spot on the top 5. And that is Deathloop. This is the latest from Arcane, the creators of Dishonored and Prey. This is definitely looking like a Seth-ass game. It's
looking real good.
1970s inspired, just like disco chaos kind of approach to it. You are a character who's basically have 72 hours, so 3 days to kill these. I think it's 8 targets.
Yep, 8 targets.
And the component of this game, so it plays like an arcane game. So if you've played those games before, it is basically a hybrid stealth first-person action game.
Yeah.
So you can see here from the B-roll, if you're watching the video, that you're jumping around, you're using like a teleport or grappling style ability, doing stealth takedowns, but then eventually things are going to go to shit and you're going to beat them to death with a stick, or you're going to pull out your dual pistols or dope-ass shotgun, whatever you got, and go for it. But the thing that's really setting this apart, so with Dishonored, you had these almost like toy boxes that they would set up for you and you would go through the level, and the goal was to assassinate someone at the end. This one, it seems to be like you're on this big open island and you have these 8 targets to kill and you just do it however you can, right? So it's more of an open assassination style game. But the big thing that makes me excited here is that it's going to be impossible, it seems, to kill all 8 of them in the time limit, because they're all over the island. You got to sneak in, you've got to plan, you got to find out where they are, then you got to find a way to kill them. So a big part of this game is manipulating the targets so that they are together, right? So one of the examples they gave is there's a party and one guy won't go to the party. So you can do like a quest or like a little side narrative to get him, to convince him to go to the party, so that now he shows up at this party with 2 other targets, and now you have 3 targets all in one party. To coat all of this in one disastrous formula for hate is right here. You're seeing another character. This is a third person, like another, not a target, not the player character, that is tasked with killing you, the player character. And what makes this even more interesting is that this character can be another person. So should you choose that? So like it's going to have like this asynchronous kind of multiplayer where you'll be playing and then all of a sudden an assassin jumps into your world and is trying to kill you while you're trying to kill the target.
So much I can already see. Yeah, it's going to get crazy.
It's going to get wild, and it's going to do the same thing that honestly Bowser's Fury has done, where like you've got a plan for what you want to do, and then all of a sudden that plan changes because now there's this random element that's been introduced, and you can't really tell where they're going to attack you from, what they're going to use to try and kill you. All you know is they're out there hunting you. So man, I can't wait to get my hands on this. Arcane is a legendary studio at making these styles of games, and I think they've got the right formula to really shake things up and make this interesting. Yeah, this is the last, I'll go ahead and say this here on this podcast. This is probably one of the last Bethesda games you will get on PS4 or the PlayStation at launch. Like it is, this deal is already in place. It is a PS5 exclusive. It's also coming to PC, but yeah, this is like a weird on the way out the door, last before Microsoft acquires them kind of game. And so I'm intrigued to play it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Deathloop. Give it to me now. I need it.
Okay. I will close out.
Close us out. Take it something.
Here. It's a game that people may be slightly surprised, but if you have paid attention to me at all and listened to the show, then you know you shouldn't be surprised. My last game is Halo Infinite. I'm really excited. I was really excited and really wanted to play. I love Halo. It's one of my favorite brands, not only on Xbox, but just like favorite game series and franchises out there. And I'm really wanting to see what they do with this year that they've basically given themselves to delay the game, refresh the game. You know, I don't say refresh, but like kind of increase the look of the game even more than it already looked, and have a great polished experience from what they were going to release in fall of 2020. You know, we've talked a little bit about some of the ups and downs that 343 has had with some of their leadership. It really wasn't that big of a deal, sort of. The studio head thing did concern me a little bit, but overall, I'm still very excited. Microsoft, Phil Spencer, 343, they know they've got to bring the smoke. They got to bring the heat.
Oh, yeah.
They got to bring the Master Chief. And everything, we're watching the B-roll here from the look back in mid-summer 2020 when they finally revealed the game. And it still looked great. There were still some things and some problems definitely that popped up that a lot of people, some people complained about the look of the game and didn't look all that great. Here or there, lighting was a little off, what have you. And I think that
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you here, dude. This game, I mean, this was what caused the director to leave. Like the studio head left. The creative director left the company over. Like this demo was not great. I'm actually really surprised you picked this to show.
Really?
This was when Halo Infinite started to blow up, like in a bad way.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because
we
never saw anything else from the game. I think if anything, I think the main reason I picked the game is that
that was it. Missed it.
Is the promise. Yeah. Because I have all of the Halo games I've adored. Everyone that I've loved, I still will die on the hill that Halo 4 has the best campaign of any Halo game in series. Come at me. But, hey, that's me. That's my opinion. I can say that.
Yeah.
But it's, I really think that if this had been like we're pushing it to like March or April of 2020, I would have been concerned. But the fact they're basically like, oh no, we're going to take a year. We're going to take a whole year. And I also think, for good or bad, the pressure to deliver that this team and Microsoft have on this game, you can't. Halo has used their mulligan, I would say, with the Master Chief Collection.
Oh, yeah.
They cannot afford to have and I hate saying this, but it's one of those unfortunate truths that I think people and maybe some game journalists in that specific group of gamers think, like, if this game is not like a 9 or a 10, people are going to riot. If it's as soon as somebody posts up like an 8.5 and says the game is great, there's just some things that I didn't really like, people are going to freak out, like, you're not a real Halo fan, blah blah blah. And I just want the Halo experience. I want to see what I want to see what they're trying to do to take Master Chief, and again, we talked about it this entire show, like, take the old stuff and make it new again, and like make it fresh, and add some new concepts and stuff. And this kind of pseudo open world mechanic is really cool and very interesting. And I want to know more about it. And so I'm really excited for Halo Infinite. Some of the stuff they've shown on their blog, especially with the multiplayer, looks great. I just, and maybe it is just, I'm more excited about the promise, but I think it's, if I have to bet on anybody, I would bet on 343. I think, they've had a couple of missteps, but they know what they have with Halo, and they know what they need to do to be successful. And I put stock on them anytime. So.
Yeah, this is the, I don't want to say do or die, but like, this is the moment where we figure out, are Halo's best years behind it? Yeah, and I think we're going to answer that question this fall. And Xbox, I'm a huge fan. I don't want you to take my, I guess, negative discussion about it as oh man, Seth is really hating on him. I think that Xbox is much more than just Halo. And I know everybody says like Halo is essential to Xbox's success. No, it's not. Game Pass is essential to Xbox's success. xCloud is going to be essential to Xbox's success. The game has changed, right? And I think that Halo is an important first step in this next generation. But I've said this before, I'll say it again. Bethesda is the guarantee. That's the insurance, right? If Halo explodes, we still got Elder Scrolls. We still got Fallout. We still Bethesda is the $7.5 billion insurance policy they have taken out to ensure that Xbox is still relevant 20 years from now, right? I don't think that Halo is going to fail. I really don't. I want it to meet as many people's expectations as possible. I know there's an absurd amount of hype for it. Yeah. And I know what they've shown so far is definitely moving in the right direction. We have new screenshots literally this week of how they're kind of moving the art style from where it was back in that video to where it is hopefully going to land when it comes out. And it's definitely much better looking. It looks like a next-gen game. And so when this comes out, when they inevitably announce a free-to-play version of this, when they inevitably, put this on Game Pass with a really compelling and interesting battle pass that may not even be paid. You don't know. Like, if the battle pass is included, then that would just be incentive to play the game more. And that would give people a reason to keep coming back. And all in all, you have a recipe for the most, maybe not the best Halo game of all time, but the most played Halo game ever, right? You put in the millions, I don't know, 15 million subscribers to Game Pass right now. It's astonishing the number of people that might be able to enjoy Halo. And so that's just my mini rant to say, I don't want you to think that I'm really down on Halo. I just know that Xbox is not do or die if Halo does good or bad. Xbox is doing fine. Xbox is going to do fine. They have Minecraft for heaven's sake. Like, Minecraft is more important to Xbox than Halo is. I promise you that. And the fact is here is that, like, I really want to see, like, I think this year's E3, I caught myself saying E3, Xbox's summer showcase, whatever they're going to make that, is probably going to be both the highest risk one, but also the most hype one that we've ever seen. Because this will be a Halo Infinite blowout, a Bethesda acquisition done, lock-in. Mm-hmm. We're going to start to see what Microsoft is going to do with these 24 studios that they now own. It's going to be wild, dude. It's going to be wild. I can't wait.
I agree. I can't wait either. A lot of great things. I feel like this week has really kicked off a lot of the gaming news hype for the year, and I'm really excited about it, guys. But everyone, that is it for episode 35 here of the Rocket Punch Show. Thank you guys so much for listening in, for tuning in if you've watched us via Twitch or YouTube or if you're listening on podcast services, we greatly appreciate all the support you guys have given us here at the Rocket Punch Show. Remember, guys, I'll be streaming throughout the week, so hit that follow button here on Twitch if you're watching there. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, I've got a script written for a YouTube video that I'm going to release this week. I just got it. Hopefully today, within the next day or two, I'll have it recorded and uploaded for you guys here, because I definitely want to get back into the YouTube hype for sure there, guys. But other than that, guys, be sure, of course, head to rocketpunchgo.com for all your Rocket Punch stuff that we do for you here. Anything else to add, Seth, before I close this out?
No, that's it. It's been a good listen. We've had our warm up period, but dude, we're in March now. This is when the hype train starts rolling. We're gonna get tons of game releases March through April. Guess what happens in May, baby? E3 hype starts. I'm saying E3 hype again. E3. Summer whatever hype. Then we hit that, and then that's basically home free until holiday. So like, yeah, January, February, that's your rest time. Your rest time has been filled with Valheim playing. So there's really, like, 2021 doesn't have a dull moment. It's going great, man. So I can't wait. It's an exciting time, and you know that we are going to be covering it all right here on the Rocket Punch Show. So thank you for joining us. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe. Be good to each other out there. Good night and good game. We'll see you guys next week.